Hey guys, Jengar here. Welcome to today's realistic review in which we are taking a look at the Russian Mig... I mean German. It's, well, it's half Russian, let's say. The Mig-19S, the new German top tier jet, together with the new CL-13B of course, which we already reviewed. This Mig-19S sits at 10.0 battle rating and is an absolute fantastic plane to fly. Performance, it has a lot to speak for itself, but what it doesn't have, and that is quite vital, it doesn't have any air-to-air missiles. So that is unfortunate in the missile age, right? Very unfortunate. But the rest of the plane is absolutely fantastic, and that makes the plane a joy to fly. You just gotta work around the absence of air-to-air missiles, which is actually quite a big miss at this battle rating, but we'll get into that. The maximum speed of this plane at sea level is 1151 without WEP and 1171 with WEP. At 4500 meters, still go up to 900 kilometers an hour without WEP and 1005 with WEP, and finally at 6500 meters she can go up to 788 without WEP and 975 with WEP. Now it's a very fast plane, I have to say. Only the T2 really is considerably faster as the main jet, and right now the best jet, let's say, between hooks, because every one of these top tier jets can be made to perform, but the T2 in the speed department definitely is the fastest plane without any shadow of a doubt. But the MiG-19 is a fast plane. These speeds are in indicated airspeed. Top speed in a dive is 1197 before she redlines and 1320 before she rips apart. Now again, this is fantastic speeds, and the performance of this plane is very nice, especially in the vertical, but we'll get into that in a little bit. The control stiffening also is quite functional, making the top speeds really, functional up to where they can go. The control stiffening in the roll rate starts at 900 slightly, but just ever so slightly, and at 1100 it becomes to be more severe. 1150 to 1200 you should definitely get out of a dive, because that's when the elevator also starts to be slightly less effective, and if you're close to the ground you have to roll and you still have to use elevators, well, you can forget about it. You will crash into the ground. But the plane functions very nice in the vertical, in dives, but also in climbs. That's the main strength of this plane. In the vertical, the stall speed of the plane is 140 kilometers an hour, which is quite good actually, although some of the top tier jets like the T2 is better in that department, but a little bit more shaky, so this plane performs a little bit better at lower speeds than the T2. But still, here we go, a missile, not enough maneuvers unfortunately, and we got killed by a radar carrying plane, of course, because I was in the cloud, so I couldn't see him anymore, so he shouldn't have been able to see me that easily, but the radar does help in that sense. The firepower is great in this plane. 3 30mm NR30s with 70 rounds per gun. I used air target belt and a 600 meter convergence. I guess when you get used to the lead on this thing, you can use stealth to great effect as well. And the surprise factor will add to the effectiveness of these guns. But these guns are fantastic. The 70 rounds though are less fantastic. You run through them quite quickly, and the ammo load thus is below average. Acceleration though in a straight line is fantastic. You can actually also equip this plane with several bomb loads, 2 times 100 kilo, 2 times 250, and you can also use rockets on them. You can have 16 S5Ks or 32 S5K, so you can go ground pounding to your heart's content in this plane, although why you want to use that plane in that sense, I don't know. As a fighter, this plane really shines, and once you're low and turning for the ground targets, you'll become slow. You'll be easy pickings for all the other top tier jets. Even 9.0s can then take you with ease, because it's difficult to keep this plane in its strength when you are ground pounding, because you have to turn around, you lose the speed and all that. Yeah, so ground pounding definitely not recommended, but you can definitely do it. in this plane. Of course, the absence of the air-to-air missiles is again coming to the fore. The plane has none of that and is also limited because of that. The acceleration in a straight line, as I said, is fantastic. Once you use the afterburners, the web, absolutely magnificent boost you get to the speed. Very powerful in the acceleration, especially the difference with or without the afterburners is amazing. In a dive, it is also excellent acceleration. The energy retention in the horizontal is excellent and in the vertical as well. Fantastic performance in the vertical, supported by an absolutely fantastic climb rate. You know, just like the Mig-19 PT, this plane is absolutely fantastic in the vertical, and the only competitor in the vertical is the T2, but the Mig-19S for me is supreme. I have combated against a few T2s in the vertical and beaten them every time. So that is an advantage and a very good advantage. Though these runs in the vertical can last a long time because you don't have air-to-air missiles. So as long as they're further away than a kilometer and a half, you're definitely not gonna waste some of your ammo, because in this plane you can't show any trigger happiness. You got to be very disciplined on the trigger because you run through your rounds very quickly. The turn time in the plane is decent, good with flaps. The flaps only rip off at 780 kilometers an hour, which is quite decent, although most top tier jets have higher rip-off speeds. The tier 2, for example, sits at a rip-off speed of 830, so that's 50 kilometers higher than this plane. And but this one at 780, it is not bad at all. So you can use the flaps once you lose a little bit of your speed, and it definitely helps in the turn time. The roll rate in the plane is not brilliant. It is actually slightly above average. Not very good in the roll rate compared to some of the other planes at the battle rating. Some of the other planes this plane will face. So when people start rolling, you have to roll smartly, and you have to basically a little bit predict where the plane will roll, because you, against most planes, can't really keep up in the roll rate. So yeah, you're gonna have to be a little bit more, you know, trusting on your ability to predict where the enemy will go and place your shots there, because you can't keep up with the rolling. The overall maneuverability in the plane is decent. Overheating in the plane is present, but it does cool off easily, so there is that, and that's a good thing. There's not much of a problem, the overheating in this plane. Durability is decent as well. It can take some damage, and sometimes you can still even fly the plane. But of course, in the wrong places, this plane is crippled by damage, so that's why it's nothing more than decent. It can take a hit or two, but if you get it in the wrong place, then the plane is going to be difficult to control. It is a boom and zoom slice energy fighter, and in the energy department this plane is really an energy hero. It is absolutely magnificent, and it rules supreme in that sense for me. The Mig-19S with its afterburner is absolutely magnificent in the energy retention and the acceleration department, and that's where you can make the difference with this plane. In the speed department, this plane will concede the victory to the T2, and with quite a margin. 50 to 100 kilometers an hour at some ends is the difference, and at the higher altitudes, especially the T2 is quite a bit faster in a straight line. But the performance of this plane, the acceleration and the energy retention, will give you an edge in the cutting corners department, let's say, against the T2, and especially in the vertical, this plane is very strong, and that's where you gotta lure them. But again, of course, the T2s have their air-to-air missiles, and you never know if somebody has an air-to-air missile left, so you gotta be careful that you make sure that they use those missiles before you have not enough speed to avoid the missiles. And that is a danger in the vertical when a T2 is actually behind you. and unfortunately that CL-13B gets me just before I get out of the range of his shots. But yeah, the Mig-19S is absolute fantastic to fly. It's one of my favorite planes when it comes to the flight model and how the plane feels and what you can do with it in the vertical. Absolutely magnificent. Boom and zooming, great in the handling in the dive, and as I said, the afterburner is fantastic, and it's an energy hero. It really is very good at that. But a major problem, of course, of this plane is the absence of missiles. Now, this Tier 2 I would already have loosened a air-to-air missile right now in most other planes, but in the Mig-19S you will of course not be able to do that because the plane doesn't have it. But this is a competition in the vertical. The T2 is one of the only planes that can actually follow a Mig-19S and a Mig-19PT as well, by the way, in the vertical. But as you see, we are winning, and I've seen this a few times already. Every duel that I had with the T2 in the vertical, I won in the Mig-19S. So there is that, but you gotta get close. So it's a long road there, and if you have somebody else behind you, and that's the problem with the missiles, then he is gonna shoot a missile at you and you're gonna lose. So this one was a good example of how you can win. We have Terror of the Sky, Bulletproof, 28,000 Silver Lions and 3,000 research points. I'll see you in the conclusion. Hey guys, so here we are after the match. The Mig-19S, as I said, the plane is very nice in the performance, and it is an absolute beast to fly. It feels very good, and it's a joy to fly the flight model. The absence of air-to-air missiles is a handicap, and it's a significant handicap. As I said, there's a lot of situations where you cannot make an opponent turn, and if you're behind a T2 who is faster in a straight line, he's starting to outrun you, but you're still within the kilometer. You don't have the missiles to shoot, and you don't have a lot of ammo as well to make him turn. And so it's very dangerous to play around with shooting some 30s at him while he's above a kilometer away, because you might waste that ammo. And sometimes you can get them with a long range shot, I know, but it's very difficult when you're head to tail with an enemy in front of you and you're trying to make a shot fall in the right place. I mean, there are plenty of expert jet pilots who fly nothing but jets all the time that can do that on a reliable basis. But I don't fly jets, and I don't think most people fly jets enough to hit those shots on a reliable basis. Let's say a reliable basis. I do hit them sometimes, but on a reliable basis, there's only very few pilots that can make that happen. So yeah, so the absence of air-to-air missiles make this plane significantly disadvantaged in the top tier fights against the other planes carrying air-to-air missiles. But it's still a magnificent plane to fly. It's an absolute top performer, and the 3 30mm are devastating, and you can definitely perform in this plane. You just got to work around the handicap of not having the air-to-air missiles. But beyond that, this plane is absolutely superb, and I love it. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button, become part of this community. If you are already a subscriber, don't forget to like the video, do leave me a comment, and if you really feel like helping out today, make sure to share the video with your friends and let them know about the channel.